Yeah, it looked like some kind of evil space sponge. No, I can't afford to do this right in the first episode. Also, stick around after the review for my reaction to the upcoming crossover movie. We opened our new series with our new lead moving into our new town. And already, even though I know this girl's name is Nodoka, I can't help but think about several other magical girls and Okita-san. Anyway, the father of this family had gotten to their new home first and was going to help guide them there. Wow, didn't realize Illy was in this show. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go hit my head for making a Hitachi reference. Ow, okay, ow, jeez, alright, no joke, that actually really hurt, oh god. And after saying her catchphrase much more believably than a certain fluffball, Nodoka decided to scope out the town. While her parents tried to suggest not getting too excited, they ultimately relented and let her do what she wanted, as apparently she didn't have that option until recently. Interesting foreshadowing. Meanwhile, in another world that had seen better days, Jesus, that corpse. Our four-legged magical queen of this series, Tia-Teen, entrusted her Deus Ex baby with the fairy partners of the season. Yeah, kinda standard stuff for Precure, though I will give bonus points for including a Prinny this year, dude. Anyway, the Queen of the Dachshunds instructed them to find their partners.
Phrasing?
So, with their baggage in tow that should totally be weighing them down, the fairies arrived on Earth, coincidentally within close distance of Nodoka. Both sides declared that their journeys were about to start. Okay, so that was a pretty good prologue that hinted at some interesting subplots and built a little intrigue, I guess. But I've been burned by previous seasons so far, so I won't get my hopes up just yet. Anyway, we then transitioned into the opening and... Alright, seriously though, this might be one of the best Precure OPs we've gotten in a long time. The lyrics and melody perfectly match up with the animation. The animation itself uses some very clever multi-layering tricks to not only show some awesome fights, but also the everyday personalities of our main heroines. And above all else, Rie Kitagawa is singing her heart out. I mean, when any singer sounds like they're blowing out their lungs just for our entertainment, I can't help but applaud at least a little. While all of her previous songs have been great in their own right, this is by far some of the most passionate singing I've heard of her so far. Still, as great as this opening is, especially this last shot of the Precure symbolically healing the planet as they make their slow, epic walk towards the villains, it can't reflect the overall quality of the show, right? Well, anyway, while walking around town, Nodoka ran into a lot of people, including a couple who were totally foreigners.
Whoa!
Thank you!
Holy cow! She also literally ran into a girl at an animal hospital / cafe. Yeah, that's a thing. The girl herself seemed to be on some kind of caffeine rush and left the scene likely realizing the first episodes are more meant for the pink leads than anything else. Not much, but still a pretty hilarious intro to one of our main heroines. Anyway, Nodoka, like her senpai from 2 seasons ago, decided to help an elderly lady with her luggage. Here's hoping Dio doesn't play any more tricks this year. The fairy partners, or healing animals as we'll call them, were also nearby looking for their Precure partners. While Nyatran was open to just about anyone, Rablin already had her ideal partner in mind, which was basically a female version of Kamen Rider Brave. Considering how lousy the pay is for doctors in Japan, I kind of have to agree with the Prinny here. Still, the bunny was nothing if determined, so she tried asking around, but as my intro suggested, had no luck. Amazingly though, no one paid attention to the talking rabbit mistaking her for an animatronic or something. She did, unfortunately, gain the attention of some kids who wanted to have some fun with her and Peggyton. I blame Bray Wyatt for normalizing bunny abuse. Elsewhere, Nodoka had finished walking the old lady home. It kind of exhausted her to the point that she made this face, but she still did have a little juice left, enough to return a scrunchie to a passing by jogger, albeit totally gassing her in the process. Again, nice foreshadowing this girl and her questionable health. Taking some directions from the jogger, Nodoka decided to take a rest at a nearby park. However, our first evil general of the series was already there reading a newspaper. Okay, I don't know why, I just kinda find that hilarious. He proceeded to summon a monster of the week with one of the most beastie animations ever. Can't wait to see the body pillows of this guy. Anyway, this series' monsters, the Mega Byogans, are created with inanimate objects that are the vessels of things called the elements, basically life forces of the earth. They use them as their power sources while infecting them with their virus. And since Latte was directly linked to them and the earth, the virus would spread to her too. Rablin used a magical stethoscope to figure out what was wrong. By any chance, was that made by a video game company? And it's going for insanely high prices on the secondhand market to the point I can't afford to use it as a prop for these reviews. But yeah, even though Latte would normally communicate only through barks, a nice change up from the fairies that can't stop yapping, the stethoscope let them hear her voice in proper Japanese. The healing animals made their way to the park, where Nodoka further proved her worth as a main heroine by helping evacuate it. And she wasn't the only one proving to be gutsy, as Rablin actually tried to take on the Mega Byogen. It was obviously pointless, as even Darizen tried to discourage her, but still, the bunny wasn't going to give up, as surprisingly, the innocent little mascot character was suffering from survivor's guilt. Jeez, are we already getting good characterization for the fairies? Still, not to be upstaged, Nodoka, fully aware of the danger, as well as her own major limitations, decided to head back to the park after hearing a dog might be in danger. And sure enough, Latte's condition was becoming critical, with Rablin going into full panic mode to find someone who could help. So yeah, basically every week, Latte is going to suffer like this until the Precure can defeat the monster of the week. Okay, I know this might sound kind of heartless of me to say, but that's not a bad way of building suspense. I mean, yeah, obviously they're going to save her most of the time, but anytime a ticking clock is added to a conflict, it inherently ups the danger and forces the protagonist not to just lollygag around, which I always found to be a problem with Star Twinkle, even though the universe was at stake in that show. When there's a real sense of danger, that forces us, the viewers, to really get invested in the conflict. I think that's a kind of basic principle that's kind of been forgotten by a lot of shows, not just Precure. Anyway, Nodoka of course rescued Rablin and was going to take Latte to the hospital before learning that the only thing that could fix her was to defeat the Mega Byogen. Naturally, Nodoka didn't have the ability to do that just yet, but at the same time, she couldn't leave the little pup to suffer like she once did, and okay, episode 1 and we're already seeing our main heroine in the ER.
This is heavy.
Jeez, I didn't think my Okuta-san reference would be taken this far. But yeah, now we have a strong motivation for why our main heroine wants to help others. The trauma of her own experiences was driving her to do all she could for others, not unlike a certain big-eared fairy whose paw of the heart was resonating with her. Again, no references to any sort of contracts or anything, and let's just appreciate this quick yet very nice transformation sequence. Seriously, after so many overly long sequences of the past few seasons, it's nice to get one that's to the point and is pretty enough. Our newbie evil general was shocked at this revelation. I don't know, I think your flower still has a few good years left in her. Still, yeah, with her partner literally in hand, I doubt Nodoka would be able to fight with much CQC, and was more than likely just going to defeat the monster with her wand. Or she could deliver a kick that would make Gills envious. Yeah, this fight had a decent balance of the practicality of magic wand usage and the badassery of fisticuffs, with Nodoka even throwing the monster around while still holding Rablin, which, yeah, I'm not sure if you could get a good grip like that, but whatever, suspension of disbelief and all that. Anyway, to defeat the Mega Byogen, they first need to find its weakness, and then target it for the finale. I feel like Exade is going to be one of the lesser Kamen Rider seasons I referenced this year. With that, they defeated the Upside Down monster, okay that's new, and said a typical doctor's "take care" as their catchphrase. However, even with the monster defeated, Latte still needed to recover from the experience, or she would have needed to, had the flower element not returned the favor and shared some of its power to heal her. And while I still won't reference him, am I the only one who's getting a bit of a grief seed vibe from this thing? And with that, our first episode ended with Nodoka finally noticing that she was talking to a bunch of stuffed animals. Our first ending theme of this series was also quite nice, with buttery smooth 60 FPS animation with great effects, including a rotating starry sky that thematically probably would have worked better with that last series, but whatever, it works here too. Okay, so I won't give into the hype just yet, but as a reviewer, I will fully admit that was a pretty great first episode. I mean, we got strong introductions to all of our protagonists, especially our pink of this season. The music was great. Sorry, Hayashi, you won't be missed. And I feel like this show just kind of had a charm that's been missing from Precure for a while now. Just going by the summaries and what we saw from this first episode, it does really seem like the franchise is going back to its roots, which, yeah, might be for the best, after a few series that tried too hard to go beyond the capabilities of the writing staff. In this first episode, we got a good idea of what sort of threat the Byogans are going to be, what the MacGuffins are going to be, something I'm still waiting on answers for with Star Twinkle, and most importantly, we got to understand this show's characters. Chiyu and Hinata got all the introduction they needed for a first episode, but the creators knew that for this first outing, it should be all about the pink. Though, as a bit of a unique and very interesting wrinkle, they also made it kind of about her fairy partner. Yeah, before we get to talking about Nodoka, Rablin definitely deserves at least a special mention, just for being one of the gutsiest fairies ever. And yeah, while you could say it was kind of dumb and short-sighted of her, she did have strong reasons for trying to take the Mega Byogan head on. Reasons that in turn led to one of the stronger fairy Precure bonds ever with Nodoka, a great heroine even before becoming a Precure, as right after acquiring somewhat of a healthy body, she wanted to do all she could do for others so that they wouldn't have to suffer in any way like she did. Now, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I think they should have saved this hospitalization reveal for a later episode, as they were already doing a good job foreshadowing Nodoka's weak constitution throughout this episode. They could have at least saved it for next week, as it looks like Rablin is going to find out about her partner's poor health. Then again, maybe they wouldn't have had the time next week, because while the concepts here were simple, this was a pretty densely packed first episode. Thankfully, none of it felt rushed, and it has a sense of wonder that's kind of been missing from Precure after Star Twinkle's initial episodes. I actually want to learn more about these characters, the healing garden, and even the villains, especially if they're going to have cool designs like these. Again, while they could certainly fumble the ball later, I will say for now, this series is at least off to a healthy start. As a little bonus, and hopefully to fill out time in this video, here's my mini reaction to the Miracle Leap trailer and all the info we've gotten about it so far. From what we can tell from the summary, it's your basic Groundhog's Day plot with our heroines trapped in a time loop, and yes, I already made the obvious Madoka joke in a previous video. And besides, the cause doesn't seem to be a future space devil in the works, but rather the fairy of the movie, Miracaloon. Gee, I wonder what her gimmick is going to be. Since this was written by Murayama, I'm expecting full-on over-glorification of these cheap little flashlights. Alright, to be fair, Murayama did write the original Deluxe trilogy, so hopefully Miracle Universe was just an off day. Though I also wonder whether or not he's going to keep plot consistency with Star Twinkle. You know, the best part about doing this reaction after the final episode is the fact that I get to ask, where the heck does any of this fit in? Does it take place right before the final confrontation with the Ophiuchus Princess? Because as we know, it can't take place afterwards. But then why would Hikaru not recognize Nodoka in her little dream? Or is this just another case of time travel messing up everything? But yeah, just going by stuff like the pinks flying towards the big bad of the film, the animation, in particular the fights, are more than likely going to be great, as they should be, considering the animation director is going to be Nishiki Itooka. For those unfamiliar with Nishiki, here's a little bit of his stuff. Yeah, dude kind of knows his way around. As for the big bad I just mentioned, his name is Refrain, and not only does he have a really cool design, I love those eyes, he's also voiced by one of the smoothest voice actors ever, Hiroaki Hirata. Of course, everyone recognizes him as Sanji, but to me, he will always be Kotetsu Wild Tiger Kaburagi. That said, I'm not too familiar with a lot of his villain roles, so this should be interesting. Then again, maybe I just don't want to remember a lot of his villain roles. Can we reset the clock on those movies? But yeah, that's about all I have to say. The director Toshinori Fukuzawa seems to be new to Precure, but does seem to have at least a little bit of experience with Murayama through Toriko, where he storyboarded and directed several of his episodes. So it's a bit of a toss-up on whether or not he'll do a good job. Still, as long as Murayama doesn't overdo it with the light, it should have a good plot. Regardless of all of that though, it looks like it's going to be at least a visual showcase worth watching thanks to Itooka, so on that merit alone, I'll look forward to it. Still, what are your guys' thoughts? You think we're gonna get any more plot lines where the Miracle Lights are gonna be the key to saving the whole universe? Feel free to comment below. I'm about 75% done with my Star Twinkle overview, so hopefully it should be out sometime later this week. So look forward to it. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and remember, always listen to your doctor's advice. Mine, for instance, tells me I need to lower my cholesterol.